Take a deep breath. Take a deep, deep breath so we can be present. Are you present? Ooh, all right. I felt that. Are you alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic? Yes. All righty. That's the way to be. Alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic, present, fully present. Present to the present, present to the moment. Not off in the future, not off in the past, present right here, right now. That's where it, and you all look so beautiful. You all just look so fabulous. It's true. Wow. Turn to somebody and tell them, you look fabulous. You look fabulous. You look fabulous. You look marvelous. You look beautiful. Thank you. I received that. Yes. We are the reflection of one another. So the beauty I see in you is the beauty I hope I'm projecting out so that I can see it in myself. Isn't that wonderful? Well, I want to continue with a little bit more sharing of some of my insights and learnings that I received from my last trip to India a couple of weeks ago with the O&O Academy. And if you recall, last week, I stated that one of the reasons why I continue to go back or to participate in the programs and to take these particular courses and lessons is not only to learn, of course, different techniques and meditation, to do deeper yoga, because sometimes we think yoga is just hatha yoga, physical yoga. There's so many more yogas. Yoga of the mind, yoga of the heart. So we learn different techniques. But it's not just because of that, but because they really help you to focus on seeing yourself. Because it is their belief that we cannot end the suffering in the world, or we cannot transform the world without first transforming oneself. And like I said, they believe that if you can raise your own vibration, and if you come as a clear, transparent vessel that is holding the sacred vibration or whatever, then we can let that ripple out so that it touches whomever. They believe that each soul probably touches and influences about 100,000 people in your lifetime, whether it's driving next to somebody in a car or standing next to somebody in the supermarket. But we touch at least 100,000 people at some point. And imagine if we're touching 100,000 people from the highest vibration and the highest place of who we are. Putting forth love. Having that soul say, I'm not sure what's going on, but I feel a sense of peace coming from you. Maybe my soul needed a little peace. Or maybe just having the ability to smile at someone and transform their state of being from doom and gloom to one of openness and acceptance. We carry so much power in our own being and presence. And it's time for us now to express it so that we can transform the world. I spoke at Bard College last Monday, and I was telling these young students that you are the ones we have been waiting for. Because we are the ones. And so it's a joy to be able to take up this sacred mission. We're on a sacred mission, right? A mission for God. And we're stepping into it consciously and boldly. Are we not? Yes, consciously and boldly, because the world needs your light. Not as a cliche, the world needs your light and your presence. So this is about, I go because it's shining the light on myself so that I can also see what it is that stands in the way of my own enlightenment, what it is that is standing in the way of my own transformation, my own spiritual awareness, so that I can enable myself to overcome that and to be able to live a beautiful life and to create beauty in life. And while we're there, we have an opportunity to also deepen our connection and our relationship to the divine, to God, in whatever way, shape, form, name, or whatever that you need. They come from a Hindu perspective, but they allow you to choose however you choose your divine, your God. But it is to deepen that connection. That's what's important, to deepen your relationship, your connection, to work on your connection to the source, which is why the presence meditation is just connecting to the source, not trying to get anything in that particular minute. Just connect with the source, creating yourself as a vessel, letting the light come in, let it fill your whole being and your whole body, and you resonate and you rest and you resonate and you rest, so that light is transforming and healing not only the physical body and the cells in your body, but it's healing all facets of your being, so that when you come into the world, you're bringing that presence, you're bringing that light, you're bringing that power. It's a wonderful thing that we have an opportunity. So they also help us to deepen our connection to the source, to the divine, to God, and to work on consciousness. So we're working on connection with the source, and we are working on consciousness. And if there's anything that we in New Thought, in Unity, know a lot about, it's about what? Consciousness. We know about consciousness. So I said, they're talking my game now. They're talking my stuff. Because we know that consciousness is that which is the outpicturing of our lives in our experience. Right? Consciousness outpictures itself in our lives and in our experiences, which is why we say that life is consciousness. Your life is a reflection of your consciousness. We know this, right? And that our experiences of life is simply an amalgamation of our thoughts, our feelings, our perceptions, our attitudes, and our choices. All of that is what our life is outpicturing. Now, at the O&O Academy, they help you to see not only what you are doing in your consciousness or the types of thoughts and feelings you're holding in your consciousness, but they also try to show you how to free yourself through an awareness of yourself. To free yourself through an awareness of yourself. Because when we are not aware of how we are being and doing as a result of our consciousness, we think that life is somehow happening what? To us, right? Because I don't have any clue that I am actually the co-creator and author of what's happening. No, life is happening to me. You are doing something to me. Life is doing something to me. And so we get lost in the source. And so we free ourselves by having a deep awareness of yourself. And if there's anything that we are obsessed with, it is ourselves. Right? Come on. Let's be honest. It's true. It's the self. Look what they're doing to me. Why didn't this happen to me? How come they didn't give to me? What did they say about me? Why did, me. You ever find like a 2-year-old that just discovers itself, or a 3-year-old? Everything's about me, mine. Remember when you go through that state? When they discover, well, wait a minute, this thing, I'm a self. And then they go through that, well, I'm a self, I'm going to express myself. Then it's no. When they discover they can say no, or mine, or give me, and then that becomes what? Everything is about the self. Now, some of us never outgrow that stage. We clean it up, we cover it up, but it's still the same primal, it's about me. It's about myself. My needs, my wants, my desires, my hurts, my pains, all of that. It's about self. And we get lost in that and obsessed with self. And so we get wrapped in our stories. We get wrapped up in our experiences and our wants and our needs and our relationships. We have ups and we have downs, and we have successes and we have failures. And we strive to achieve and to accomplish, and then we strive to achieve some more and to accomplish some more. We try to acquire and consume, and then we acquire and consume some more. It's all about us. And in the midst of all of this, we still may not feel whole and complete. With all of that, we may not feel whole and complete. We still may feel that it is not enough and that we are not enough. Right? We are not enough. And so we then start the process of seeking more. Because this is not enough, so maybe there must be more. So we go on the treadmill of then, in this loop of seeking fulfillment in the outer without a sense of wholeness. We're looking for wholeness in all the wrong places. But we are seeking to feel whole and complete, because that's what the soul truly desires. The self and the soul desires that wholeness. We are spirit, soul, and body. The self is wrapped up in itself. But the soul is seeking something higher. The soul cannot help but want to seek God the good. It wants to seek its connection to the Creator, to its source. The self wants to be fulfilled. It's centered, what? On itself. One is like personality, and the other is individuality. Our individuality is our divine connection and our expression to the divine, to God. That's how, boom, we're connected. We don't think much about our individuality. We think a lot about our what? Personality. The persona, the egoic sense of self. And we get wrapped up in this world and seeking a sense of wholeness and completeness in all the wrong places. So here's what we know in truth. We know that wholeness is a state of consciousness, right? Surprise, surprise. You think I was going to say something else? Wholeness is a state of being, a state of consciousness, just like I said last week about what? Happiness, right? It's a state of being, it's a state of consciousness, or any other quality, just like any other quality of being. It is something that can only be experienced from within the state of one's being, within the state of one's consciousness, within the state of one's mind. And what makes wholeness and completeness so interesting is that we erroneously believe that something else, something, some additional thing, something or someone, something that's missing from our lives will somehow make us whole or complete in some way. That's the funny thing about wholeness and completeness is we have an erroneous view. We think that, it will come from something. It will come from someone. You know, when people say, oh, you complete me. Wrong. Because how many of you thought that soul you were with was going to complete you, and then you recognize, ooh, no, they are depleting me. They are not completing me, they are depleting me. And then we're off to the next soul who we think is going to complete us, right? Looking for wholeness and completion in all the wrong places. Imagine feeling whole and complete within yourself regardless of what is occurring in the external. Can you imagine that? Feeling whole and complete regardless of the condition or the circumstance that you are in. Feeling whole and complete even when others are criticizing you or judging you, or when you yourself are criticizing yourself and judging yourself, that you can feel whole and complete. Consider this. If you don't feel whole and complete within yourself, then what are you? And what are you feeling? And the answer that they suggested at the O&O Academy was that you are feeling empty. If you're not feeling whole and complete, you're feeling empty. You feel a sense of emptiness. And for them, they said, there is no in-between. Either you are whole and complete, or you are feeling empty. They said, you can't be half whole. Think about that, right? I'm a little bit whole. You can't, that's like being a little bit pregnant, right? You cannot be a little bit whole. You're either whole and feeling whole, or you are not. Just like when they tried to say that either you are in a suffering state or you're in a beautiful state. They said there is no get over this in-between state. You're either feeling whole and complete within yourself or you are not. And that's okay if you're not. You just need to be aware of it. Okay? So I thought, well, maybe I'm not sure about this half and half, but I understand what they're trying to do when they give us these absolute, either you're this or you're that. Either you're suffering or you're in a beautiful state. Either you're whole or you're empty. And I get that because what they're trying to do is that if you're trying to work on yourself, they want to eliminate all the gray areas. The gray areas where we then make excuses. See, what had happened was, I know I'm really just, but let me start with the excuses. Why we're not here, we make it okay, right? We make it okay not to be our whole and complete selves because of this, because of that. And so they're like, either this, no either or no gray areas. That's where unfulfillment exists. That's where excuses exist. And if you want to master your own life, if you want to move into a beautiful state of being and living and expressing and coming into your spiritual power, you cannot have this half-hearted here or that. You've got to be, like I just said, here or here. Living from here or living from here. You cannot do both. And so let's look at this state of emptiness. Because this was the morning of lessons when we had this lesson on emptiness that something about it was like, because they were showing all these different ways that we really are empty. And by the end of it, I was like, I'm so empty. I feel, and what was happening was I feel hopeless because I was like, how can I ever get to where I need to be, where I want to be? Oh. That's when I went to one of the teachers and I was saying, I'm just hopeless, I'm empty. It's good to see that you're empty, that because we're going after empty goals and empty places of fulfillment that we think is going to fill us. You're empty. And that's not the reality of what's going to heal you. And so this whole thing, where does this whole concept of emptiness, where this feeling of emptiness stem from? Well, it stems from a feeling of not enoughness. Our inner state of emptiness that causes us to feel like we need to go and fill, it comes from a place of not enoughness. When you don't feel whole and complete, you're feeling some level of not enoughness, not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not enough here. I'm not black enough. I'm not white enough. I'm not male enough. I'm not female enough. All these not enoughness. And so what happens is because of this inner experience of emptiness and not enoughness, we then try to do more, right? We try to be more, do more, achieve more. Maybe that will help me be enough. And so we get on the treadmill again of seeking and fulfillment, trying to do more, be more, have more. We try to fill ourselves up from the outside thinking that that's going to make me whole and complete. And we get tired. You get tired of trying to fill yourself up. So, where does this come from? This whole statement of not enoughness, not good enough. Where does that come from? Well, it comes from our own minds. And yes, there are people and things and situations that try to tell us, they kind of say sometimes we're not enough, you're not good enough, you're not right enough, but we've all heard that from the outside, and we've bought into it on some level. But for the most part, this not enoughness and not goodness, we have picked that up, and it comes and we keep it alive within our own minds. Our own minds. And what they say is that the mind likes to create myth of perfection. That the mind creates a myth, a story, an image of perfection. Now, we may get it from other people because it says, well, if you really want to be a good minister, this is what you would do. A good minister looks like this, right? A good mother looks like this. A good father does this. A good friend looks like this and does this. And so there's all these myths that we buy into, and then they're the ones that we create on our own, right? These myths of perfection, of how things should be, how we think things should be and supposed to be. So we might have a myth of the perfect life. This is what would happen when I have a perfect life. This is what will happen when I'm in the perfect relationship. This is what will happen when I have the perfect body. This is what the perfect body looks like, right? This is what the perfect partner looks like. This is what perfect love feels like. This is what the perfect this. This is what the perfect spiritual state is like. It's like this. This is what this perfect everything. And guess what? None of it is real. None of it is true, because there is no perfect anything. But we buy into the myth that is perfect. So now we're trying to figure out how I can feel whole and complete when I can reach this perfect state. I'll feel whole and complete when I have the perfect love, when I have the perfect job, when I make the perfect amount of money. Then I will feel whole and complete. And so we begin to pursue the myth, ones that we've created and ones that others have told us about and we've bought into. And not only do we begin to pursue the myth, we also begin to measure ourselves against it, right? We measure our life according to what the perfect life should look like. We measure ourselves, our sense of self-worth, according to what it would be like to be the perfect minister, the perfect so-and-so. Right? We measure, and not only do we measure ourselves against it, we measure other people against the perfect myth. Because this is what a perfect husband, a perfect wife, a perfect daughter, a perfect whatever, a perfect boss, a perfect worker. This is what it looks like. So we begin to measure ourselves against that, and we begin to get caught up in comparison. Or they're more perfect than okay, I'm not quite measuring up, or they're not quite measuring up to me. So we begin to compare. We begin to measure and compare. And this is where it becomes insidious, because when you begin to measure and compare, you start to feel less than. You start to feel dissatisfied with some aspect of your own being. I'm not quite enough. This is not quite right enough, good enough. I need to do that. And so what happens is you move into the state of never being satisfied, never being enough, right? And the thing is, the myth can never really be met. You can't meet the myth, but we try and we strive. And they say, well, there's no perfect. We strive to meet it, and then we unwittingly set ourselves up for feeling not good enough when it happens. Now, what I want you to understand is that there sometimes is a sense, I'm not saying that we should not have goals and that we should not seek a higher way, because goals are important for us to have. You want to have a goal. But don't confuse having a goal with holding a myth in consciousness. Don't confuse the two, because they're vastly different. A goal is something you want to achieve in the outer, but a myth is something you're striving for that has your inner quality of being attached to it. Right? Which means I can't be who I am. I can't be if I'm not this. Don't confuse the two of them. You need to check to see whether you have a goal, and if you're pursuing that goal as thinking that it is somehow going to make you feel whole. If you're pursuing a goal because you think it will make you feel whole, that's a myth. You're following the myth. if you are suffering, if you're in conflict, if you have emotional pain, if you have extended feelings of disappointment over something not happening or achieving something or not being a particular way, chances are you are caught up in a myth that you have created for yourself. And so this is the thing that we want to understand and we want to recognize. The myths can be irrational, they can be foolish, they can be not sense, but we follow them anyway because they're our stories, right? There's what we think is supposed to happen. And the thing is, it's not necessarily real. And when we strive to reach after something which is not real, like the perfect this, the perfect mate, the being, the perfect, when you strive after that, you become disconnected. You become disconnected from reality because it's not real. And when you become disconnected from reality, or you become disconnected from other people that you've held up to the myth of how they're supposed to be, and when they're not like that, you begin to disconnect from them, then all of a sudden there's no joy. There's no joy in living because nothing is satisfying. Nothing is quite right. It's not good enough. It's not perfect. Whatever that perfect is, that perfection looks like. And then we begin to lose our connection to others, our connection to life, our connection to the divine. A myth is a projection of the mind. It's a story. It's a story we tell ourselves. What she said to me when I was on the couch just blubbering, crying, she said, you know what, it's just a song you've been singing. You've been singing this song for a long time. And I was like, I guess she's right. But now you know what? When I begin to sing my song, I'm like, that's a song you get ready to sing that song. It's a song I got comfortable with. It's a song that I said, this is how my life is. It's this, but she said, well, who says it has to be that way? I said it has to be. That's the song I'm singing. So we have to understand then it's a projection of our own being, a story we're telling ourselves, right? Something that we have bought into as the way it should be. And then we unconsciously try to live up to this story, this myth, and we're actually losing our enjoyment of living at life as it is. We can't live life as it is because we're trying to live life as we think it should be. And there's a big gap in between there, right? One is fulfillment and joy and presence and connectedness, even if it ain't working, even if it's imperfect, but there's a presence there, as opposed to one is an illusion that I'm living and I'm missing this moment. God is present where? In the now moment. Good is present where? In the now moment. And so with the myth, I'm trying to get it here. I'm trying to be in the future, or I'm in the past. I'm never present. I'm missing my life, and I feel then unfulfilled because you're not connected to your life. And we begin to rarely experience inner joy and happiness. Our relationships begin to suffer because we don't feel, if you don't feel whole and complete within yourself, how can you feel whole and complete with another being? Right? So you don't feel whole, so you're not going to approach them as being whole, but yet you want them to be whole. You want them to be perfect. You want them to fulfill you. It's not going to work. So things suffer. We're looking for people to validate us. We're looking for people to complete us, to make us whole. There is no one or nothing outside of yourself and God that can make you feel whole and well. It's all in here. It's a state of mind and a state of being, right? So here's the thing. Here's a sign that you are maturing spiritually. Here's a sign that you are coming into your own, and you're not just striving and seeking just for the sake of striving and seeking till the next great thing comes along, the next great thrill, and when that thrill passes, that thrill is gone, you have to get another thrill, right? And so, but all that's a treadmill. You want to be able to have it regardless of what is taking place. And you know that you'll be spiritually awakening, you'll be spiritually transforming and becoming spiritually mature when you can have joy, or when you can feel whole and complete within yourself just because. Not because of this and not because of that, but just because. Because the beingness is the cause of everything. Your beingness, because. Your beingness is the cause. And when you can just be in yourself, in the God creation self of who you are, then everything unfolds, whether you're successful or whether you're not, whether you're recognized or whether you're not, whether you come in first place or whether you're dead last. It does not matter, because your beingness is solid. This is what the Apostle Paul meant when he said, I count it all joy. I count it all. I know how to be in joy when I'm abounding and when I am in a basement. I know how to do it all. I know how to be, right? No matter what. So the fluctuation, this is life. Life out here is going to be in transition and fluctuation and change. You are solid in the changeless aspect of the divine within you, rooted and grounded in who you are. Okay with your all rightness. Okay with even your imperfections. You see it. You embrace it all. You can let it all be. When you can come from that place is when you grow. Doesn't mean you're not going to grow and strive, but you're growing to get better. You're evolving, but you're not doing it because you don't feel good enough. You're not pursuing something because you think, well, I have to get this to fulfill me. You're not doing that. When you really, truly feel whole and complete, just like the happiness we talked about, when you feel whole and complete and that you're not being run unconsciously by some myth that either you or somebody else created for you, some myth of perfection, then there is a vast spaciousness, a spaciousness that opens up within you that speaks to the moreness of you. You can be more adventurous, more courageous, more daring to live life, willing to live, because everything is a bonus at that point. Everything is an addition. You know, whatever happens, oh, this is all good. This is gravy, because I'm already all right. It's just gravy. You start to live what? From the overflow. You're living from the fullness of your being and not the brokenness of your being. From the fullness of yourself, not the emptiness of yourself. That's when you know you are growing and unfolding. And this is the thing. We want to recognize our inner state at all times. See when you're starting to come from, my fulfillment is out here. See when you begin to be attached to some situation and circumstance being this way. Check your inner state often and know, am I living from my state of fullness or am I living from a state of emptiness? Am I seeking and fulfillment out here, or am I recognizing I am one with the one and I am all right? Am I driven by feelings of lack, or am I moved by feelings of inner freedom? Freedom to be me. Do I want to exercise because I want to be healthy, or do I want to exercise because I don't want to be fat? We laugh, but there's a big difference between the two. One is a myth of the body image we're holding and trying to avoid, and we feel empty. The other is because I feel I want to be healthy. Check where you're coming from, where you're living from. It'll either be a state of joy and acceptance and understanding of everything, or it'll be from turmoil and disconnection. See what your mind is telling you. See what your story is. See what your inner state is, whether you're living from the myth or your magnificence. And you'll know the difference. When you're living from your magnificence, everything is all right with you and your world. But if you are living from the myth, you will feel less than. And so if you are seeing yourself as less than in any situation, circumstance, then that's the time when you might need to get over yourself. You need to get over yourself. Get over that self that is less than. Let go of that less than image, that good enough, not good enough feeling, and begin to live empowered in an expanded consciousness of all rightness. See, there's all the almightiness, but then there's the all rightness. I'm all right. I'm living, I'm growing, I'm unfolding, and I'm all right. I'm not seeking and striving and pursuing. I'm living, unfolding, and growing, and I'm all right. So turn to someone and tell them, get over yourself. Tell them, I live beyond my limited sense of self. I live beyond my limited sense of self. Tell them I am whole and complete. And that, beloved ones, is the truth. Namaste.